things change in our world. God doesn't. But when we're talking about change, we need to identify in this area of percent of change. So there's an amount that something can change, but also sometimes it's good to reference that amount in how significant is the change. So how do we find the percent of change in something? Well, what we do is we take the amount of change between two items, and we always divide by the original amount. That's our formula. Now, if something's changing at 5%, is that a significant amount? Well, it depends on what the original amount was. So let's take a look at a few ideas with this. So your hourly wage, we're going to say is $12.50. Your new wage, because you're a hard worker, you use everything that God's given you, is $12.75. So you're going to get 25 cents more an hour. So if I wanted us to calculate the percent of change now, I just put a shape on screen there, that triangle. When you see that triangle, that means change. So the percent of change. Well, how do we calculate that? Well, the first thing we've got to do is figure out how much it's changed. And so we can do that by subtracting the two. And we see that the difference between those two amounts is 25 cents. Now, the original wage we were getting is $12.50. So what we're going to do is we are going to divide that. And when we do, we get 0.02. But then we have to change that to a percent. So changing a decimal to a percent, we move the decimal twice. And we found out that we got a 2% raise. Now, somebody that makes less than $12.50 getting a 2% raise is going to get less of a raise because it's 2% of what the original wage was. That's how percent of change works. Let's take another situation. Let's say we have the price of bread. And the price of bread it's $1.49. And there's going to be a price increase of 7%. And we want to find the new price. That's what we're trying to figure out. Well, this is another example of percent of change. We know the percent of change this time. So we're trying to find out the new price. If this reminds you of doing things like discounts and markups and taxes, well, it most definitely is. So to figure out the price or the amount of increase, that's the first thing we need to figure out. To find the amount of increase, it's like what we have to do is basically figure out what the part is. So if we think about this from an equation standpoint, if I took $1.49 times 7%, that's going to tell me how much the price is going to go up. Now, when I do that, I'm going to get 0.1043, but I have to round this to the nearest cent. So I'm going to round it to the cents place right here. So that's going to round to 10 cents. And so my new price is going to be the $1.49 up here and this is how much it's going to change. And so my new price is $1.59. Now that might not seem real significant, but think about 10 cents and think about 100 loaves of bread sold in a day. So that's $10 more right there. So, or think about 1 million loaves being sold. That's a lot of money when you think about increasing prices even just a little bit. So that's how percent of change works. So we can go through using this formula, the amount of change divided by the original, and what we can do is we can figure out the percent that it's changed, but also we can figure out new amounts as well.